Hi, and welcome to Glow Diaries. In this podcast, we talk about how to love yourself, self care, romanticize, and also we talk about like academics, we talk about different study techniques, and we even talk about things to study. For example, one episode, I could be talking about physics and different energy sources and how they impact our environment and all of that. And another episode, I could be talking about how important it is to make sure that when you treat yourself properly, and it's important for self-care. Some people look on aesthetics and smartness and they look at it and they're like, this does not mix together. I disagree. I think that they do mix together and I think it's very important. So so my first thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of how this podcast kind of works and what it is that I do. It's just a podcast for exploring STEM, building skills, the journey of learning, and it's also helping you to become a better version of yourself. I'm not about being so studious that I have no time for anything else. That's not what it is. But it's just about romanticizing life but knowing when we need to lock in. So the first thing we're going to talk about is study techniques. Because I feel like romanticizing study techniques is something that can really, it's just amazing. So, my study technique, I actually just discovered recently, is that I take out my textbook, I open the book, of, sorry, that sounds so silly. I open it and then I find a topic that I may find challenging, don't understand, or just a genuinely curious in. I look at it and then I do the blurt method first. So I read it three times to make sure it's in my head. I open my notebook and I kind of have the aesthetic title, all of that. And then I write down everything I remembered. I look back in the book and if it's wrong or incorrect, I go back over and I write it out again. Once I have the textbooks method, I then search that same topic up on Google and I normally go to the Khan Academy, BBC Bite Size. I don't really save my exams unless I have an exam like just around the corner because I feel like save my exams is more like revision methods, but I want to actually learn the topic in detail. I noticed that some people often go to ChatGPT and search up the best possible revision methods or the best possible websites to do revision on. And ChatGPT is great, but you can't. I feel like it makes less sense to ask an AI that doesn't actually understand how the human mind actually works, and I'd rather just ask actual people because then I think it's better because then I can actually like understand like people's ways of studying, how they use that website and all of that. So, and then on BBC Bite Size, Khan Academy, I think like Khan Academy is better if you like first starting the topic and you want to understand in like lots of detail. BBC Bite Size is good as well, but maybe not for like detail. Maybe I'll go to Khan Academy. I read through it and read through it again, and I do the blurting technique. And words I don't understand, I make a little log of them, and then I write those down. And then I kind of go onto Google or whatever, and I search them up, and I learn the meaning words and all of that, and I write them next, and I write to next to them. So I've understood the topic in detail, and then after I just like putting myself because I could be asked for an exam on this, so I'd rather just make sure I understand what I'm doing. So I go on to some exam questions, some just general questions, some very hard questions because it's important you task your brain. And I look and I do those. And people say you should only do this for maths, but I think it's important you do this for every subject. You make a log of the answers that you got wrong. It's not only maths that you do this in, you can do this in all of them. It's like RE, English, um, social studies, like whatever you're doing. And that's what I do. I have a log and I go back over those questions and see why I got them wrong, how I can improve my technique in answering them. And then that's the only time I really use AI when I wanted. I asked ChatGPT maybe to like compare my answers to a model answer and see what areas I need to improve on, and then I go search those up and I work on that. That's how I normally study. And then after I finish all of that, I normally just turn around and I pretend I have like an audience. And now I guess it could be my podcast, who knows? And I just kind of just talk about what I've learned because I feel like I do my own mini TED talk of like everything I've learned. So that's what I do. And it seems like a really long study method, and it is a long study method, but it really does help me to understand everything. Like, I didn't just look at it and I'm like, just read off the textbook and I'm done. Like, no, I want to understand it in detail. I want to know what I'm doing. I want to get, like, if I'm giving this an exam, I don't be like, what did the textbook say? I'm like, yeah, I just know this off the top of my head, like that. And I think another common misconception that people have is that studying has to be like a full on 10 hours long for one subject. Like, it really doesn't. You don't need to get out your textbook and just go on it for like, God knows how long, like an hour, 30 minutes. Like, no. Because I feel like that's not okay. There's some people, they have an hour, 30 minutes and they get a lot done. That's like, okay, that works for you. But at the same time, you could just have a 40-minute study session and still get a lot done. It's about the quality, not the quantity. So if you think that you're studying so long, not getting anything done, maybe it's just because it kind of, maybe it's just because focusing well in that 1 hour, 30 minutes. And it's also important to have breaks, but in between your study sessions. So after a 40-minute break, maybe you could take like a walk, have a little snack. Don't watch anything though. That's what I do sometimes. And I feel really bad about it because sometimes I'm like, I studied for 40 minutes, I'm done. Then I get out my phone, I go upstairs, and I just watch TV. Like I go and sit down and just start watching TV. Or I start looking at my phone. Like I'll just text this one person and then I go off on a tangent. Which isn't good, of course, but at the same time, it's important you give yourself a break, but it's like a healthy break, unless you're completely done with studying. Another thing I'd recommend to you about studying is study when you have those holidays. So when you get like a summer holiday or a half term, study then because you're gonna thank yourself for it when you come back, and everyone in like your class is maybe struggling with homework and understanding what the homework is and what they're supposed to be doing. But because you've read ahead and you understand it and you've learned it, you just kind of fly by. But and people say that and then they don't do it. So I think the key thing to do would be when you wake up, let's say you wake up by 8 over the holidays, you have like a good 24 hours, 12 hours in a day. Just take just maybe 3 hours. So imagine like you have breakfast, do all of this stuff. It's like 9. So 9 plus 3 hours, that's only 12. So you're only studying till like 12 at the door, and then you can do whatever you want. You can go meet up with your friends at the mall, you can go to an arcade, you can watch something, you can become a big back and just eat a lot. It's up to you, but it's not a lot. Because 3 hours every day, that's gonna make a huge difference. But this is my first episode. Normally my episodes would be longer than this, like maybe 20 minutes or something. But I hope you've learned something and some study techniques, and I really hope you follow me because I would really love to help you guys live out your best time, self-care, and for you to just generally stop romanticizing life. And also for you to grow an interest in STEM and become the best version of yourself.